Fed looking at another rate hike, your news update, and we talk about money safety on this edition of Arbitrage News Weekend, starting right now. Hello and welcome to Arbitrage News Weekend for May 6th, 2023. I'm Joshua Stark. Federal Reserve officials are on the brink of their 10th interest rate hike, but they are facing a challenging decision due to two conflicting economic trends. Firstly, concerns over the banking sector's instability and political strife over the government's borrowing limit could weaken the economy by triggering financial market crashes and restricting lending. As a result, these worries suggest that rate hikes may be ill-advised at present. On the other hand, inflation remains high, albeit gradually declining, and exceeds the central bank's target of 2%. This persistent inflation has sparked concerns that further credit tightening may be necessary to contain price increases, leading to additional rate hikes. Unfortunately, this trend would raise borrowing rates further and increase the likelihood of a recession. Hollywood screenwriters protesting to protect their pay and job security have set up picket lines outside major studios and streaming services, preparing for a lengthy battle at the start of a strike that has already caused late-night shows to be canceled, halted other productions, and slowed down the entire industry. The first Hollywood strike in 15 years began on Tuesday with 11,500 members of the Writers Guild of America ceasing work when their contract expired. The union is demanding higher minimum pay, greater numbers of writers per show, and less exclusivity on single projects, among other conditions that they claim have been weakened in the streaming era's content boom. Geoffrey Hinton, known as the godfather of AI, retired from Google to speak more openly and plans to express his concerns at a Massachusetts Institute of Technology conference on Wednesday. He has already expressed remorse about his work and raised doubts about humanity's survival if machines become smarter than people. Yoshua Bengio, another AI pioneer and co-winner with Hinton of the highest computer science award, told press on Wednesday that he agrees with Hinton's worries about chatbots like ChatGPT and other related technology, but is concerned that stating "we're doomed" will not be beneficial. The primary difference, I would say, is that he is somewhat pessimistic and I am more optimistic, said Bengio, a professor at the University of Montreal. The latest authorized search for a collection of valuable jewelry stolen by the Nazis during World War II and reportedly buried in a quiet Dutch village has ended in failure, like many previous attempts. On Monday morning, archaeologists and historians were brought to the village of Amerin, approximately 50 miles southeast of Amsterdam, where they used a magnetometer to scan a row of fruit trees in a field and dug holes in the muddy soil using a mechanical digger. Their efforts yielded little more than a bullet from the World War II era, some twisted scrap metal, a crumpled car wheel, and muddy boots. The municipal authorities are hopeful that the inability of the team, which included members of a local historical society and archaeologists from Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam, to discover any treasure would deter amateur investigators from visiting the village. More after this on Arbitrage News.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
This week's Arbitrage blog includes Got Pills? Working from home, and we talk money safety. Here's a hint, it's not. All this and more in this week's Arbitrage blog, available now at arbitragetrade.com. Now let's go to the president and CEO of Arbitrage, Mr. Royce Wells, for more. Royce? We're kind of focused here, right?
Huh?
Okay, so
Squirrel.
yeah, there's something called ADHD. Most of us know that, and one of the most popular drugs to treat ADHD has been Adderall. Adderall does have multiple uses and can be used to treat narcolepsy and a few other things like that.
Oh, wow. So random people falling asleep at the wheel. Not good.
Not good at all. Not good at all. But as far as Adderall is concerned, Adderall is coming into a shortage right now.
How? How are we short on Adderall?
Yeah. How are we short on Adderall? It's a great question. But
I'm glad this has gotten your attention.
well, right now.
See what I did there? Oh, sorry. Hey, couldn't help it. It was right there.
Yeah. So people who abuse Adderall, okay? People who abuse Adderall, they take the drug to increase alertness, to stay awake longer, and also, by the way, weight loss.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Adderall helps with weight loss, and we've seen this with Ozempic and a few other drugs that are primarily for the treatment of diabetes.
Back to that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, primarily for the treatment of diabetes, but we see people that are trying to stay in competitive fields like medicine or law, or celebrities that are taking drugs for not necessarily their intended use.
Always somebody. There's always that one guy or girl.
Well, there's always an increased demand, right?
Yeah, supply and demand. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later, but the reason why there's an Adderall shortage is that the official reason is that there is a demand increase. Other sources are saying it's surge in demand started by COVID-19. Multiple things can cause a surge in supply, but the obvious reason would be an increase in ADHD diagnoses, or potentially an increased need to have a higher home supply to keep them from leaving the house.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're still under house arrest. At least some of us are.
Well, some of us are. But the truth, more than likely, the reason the spike in demand was a combination of the previously mentioned reasons with something else we haven't really considered.
What's that?
Why can't companies produce Adderall, just make more? Literally, yes. But legally, no.
Okay, explain that one.
Adderall is a controlled substance because it is similar to methamphetamines.
Oh, well, that does put a wrinkle in things.
Yeah. You can read more about this on our blog at arbitragetrade.com/blog, and we'll be right back with more.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
I am very privileged to have Caroline in the studio today. Caroline wrote a blog article. Go check it out now. Well, after the show. At arbitragetrade.com/blog, talking about the Chevy Bolt. Caroline, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh. It's good to be here.
Second of all, you wrote about the Chevy Bolt because General Motors is discontinuing its production by the end of the year.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is a little surprising since it was their best-selling EV.
Well, technically speaking, wasn't it their only EV?
They have several that are either in production or will be in production by the end of the year. But it definitely was, in terms of EVs overall, it was on the lower end in terms of cost out of all electric vehicles that are being made. So for those consumers who wanted an electric vehicle but didn't want to spend the money for a Tesla or some of the more expensive models, this was a good option for them.
It's also important to note that it's eligible for the full $7,500 tax credit because it's domestically produced.
Correct.
The Inflation Reduction Act actually cut into that federal tax credit because they wanted to encourage domestic makers as opposed to imports. Imports, I believe, only get about half of that $7,500.
Yes, it's somewhere around half.
Yeah. So for the first quarter of 2023, it looks like GM sold 20,670 electric vehicles. 95% of those were the Bolt. And GM pulled ahead of Ford to become the second leading seller of all electric vehicles, lagging behind Tesla, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and this is what I got from your article. They had some problems with the BEV2 platform, the earlier design. And they actually had a recall, right?
Yes, they had a recall on the batteries for some fire risks.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that they're saying, by discontinuing the Bolt, they are changing battery platforms that will be used on all of their electric vehicles moving forward. GM has a plan to only sell electric vehicles by 2035. So they will be using this new battery type on all of their electric vehicles, which will streamline production and help with supply chain and time from when a consumer orders one of their cars till they can have it.
That's called the Ultium platform.
Yes.
And it looks like it's 40% cheaper than the batteries that were used on the Bolt.
Right, because the Bolt, I believe it began production in 2016, so the battery technology has come a long way in just a few short years.
Right. Newer chemistry for the battery involves greatly increased charging speed and the cost benefits, of course, and the range benefits, apparently.
Right, and that's one of the biggest challenges or concerns that EV users and owners have is the range and the time to charge, especially if you live in an apartment or a condo and can't charge at home.
Yeah. It's an important thing to talk about infrastructure when you have an EV, and leading into that, that's what your next article is going to be about. Is that
That's right. Next week, I'm working on an article talking about the EV charging infrastructure and challenges that it has and ways we're trying to make it better.
More after this on Arbitrage News.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy. You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year. At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with a link.
Okay, smart.
protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
So here's the thing, right? I have a studio space here. It's kind of necessary for me to be here, right?
Yes,
because
a little bit, yes.
I have equipment here, you know, we have interactions here. For most tech companies, however, they're trying to get everybody back into the office. Autodesk has taken the reverse approach. They're a popular software company with builders and engineers.
Yeah, AutoCAD.
AutoCAD, yeah, which is something that I'm kind of familiar with.
CAD drawings, yes.
Yes, pretty cool stuff. They have mandated that they are not going to have a return to office program. Instead, they've launched what they call the Flex Forward program. Employees get monthly perks like reimbursement for work from home expenses, the option to work anywhere in the world for up to 30 days annually, and a $750 home office setup stipend. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to work there. What? I like drawing CADs.
You like drawing CADs?
Yes, drawing them. Old school, brother. Do you not remember the old AutoCAD where you actually had to draw?
I actually do. My brother was an architect, and he did.
We're going back to engineering paper.
He did a ton of stuff for Morgan Keegan. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, in a conversation with Fortune, Rebecca Pierce, who is the chief people officer for Autodesk, said she hadn't really believed in presenteeism. If you have to rely on seeing somebody in the office to know that they're performing, then there are multiple failures in terms of trust and accountability within your own organization.
I said nothing.
And it's interesting, you know, how they have just plugged into this. But here's the thing. Here's the other side of the coin. Sam Zell, the real estate magnate whose comments we kind of have to edit to remain a family-friendly news source, said that remote work was a bunch of
hooey.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. He says one of the biggest lies in the world is that people working from home are more productive than people working in the office. The billionaire founder and chairman of Equity Group Investments told a New York University luncheon, right? He said, you have much less productivity if you're working from home in your pajamas with 3 little kids running around than you are in an office.
Possibly, but you forget it. There are a lot of self-starters in the world. I'm just saying personally, from the point of an introvert, this new economy and this new work from home option is a gold mine. I have more deep time where I basically can get what I need done without being distracted, without anyone walking up and talk to me. It's great.
Knocking on your door during Zoom calls.
Yeah, and then there are those people.
Oh me. Well, the debate certainly isn't over, and you know, Zell has one opinion, and you know there.
Hey,
are
you know what they say about opinions?
Yeah, everybody's got one. Some of them stink.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
David Grantham is here. He's our tech guy. And David, imagine you're rolling down the road listening to your favorite radio station when you hear an eerie sci-fi movie track and a voice saying AI is taking your favorite radio by storm.
You know, it almost sounds like an H.G. Wells moment.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly.
It's like the aliens are invading. Oh no, it's War of the Worlds. It's real. Oh, but this time it really is real.
It really is real. 3 months in the making, French language station Color 3, based in Switzerland, did a one-day experiment. For 13 hours. The station was completely controlled by AI. Every 20 minutes, listeners got a reminder basically saying AI is taking your favorite radio by storm. And, AI took them by storm.
Yeah, they threw in some futuristic news, like news that would happen in 2070, just to keep it, let the audience understand that this is not real, and they tried to keep it as synthetic aware as possible. But imagine if they had not told their listeners that it was an AI generative voice. So would they have known the difference? Because in radio, we've got a lot of pre-recorded stuff or pieced together stuff.
Sure enough. I was in radio for 25 years. We did something called distance tracking, which is a trademark thing by Scott Studios. But basically what it was pre-recording your drops. Voice FM, that was Journey, and coming up is Foreigner, Voice FM.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing that I found really neat about this whole idea is they used their own training data. It's not like they used ChatGPT to come up with stuff. They said, hey, we used 3 months of data from our radio broadcast to generate this. So they know what their listeners like or what they expect. So it's not a very far leap to say, hey, we're going to turn off the notifications that this is AI and just let it be realistic.
Not only that, but they use samples of their 5 most popular personalities.
Yeah.
That's kind of hits close to home, because I used to work in radio automation. I was grandfathered into this, basically.
So, I think that kind of ties into the whole Hollywood strike that you and I have been talking about.
Yes.
We've got a lot of creative people who are really nervous about the state of the industry, and the big corporations are not really giving in to the demands because they're like, hey, we have the power. Now we have AI that we can just generate content with.
I think that's an important point. The Writers Guild of America is on strike currently because AI, they've got a lot of things, a lot of moving wheels to it. It's not just the AI thing, but that's a large part of it. Is what are they doing to protect the people behind the writing? And that's kind of something that concerns me.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is the new computer age, but it's the AI age. Because when I started working, people were worried about computers taking their jobs. That just changed them. But I think people have the same questions today that they had in the early to late 90s of, am I going to lose my job? Is this going to be still needed? It's all these interesting questions that this is all bringing up.
They're taking our jobs. More after this on Arbitrage News.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
What is dedication? My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much.
from the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Royce, we need to open this up with, we are not financial advisors.
This is not financial advice.
However, a lot of questions exist about whether our money is safe due to the collapses of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank.
Did you hear about PAC?
No, I didn't.
Oh, there are about 3 more that collapsed by the time this recording gets out.
Whoopsie doodle. But people have been withdrawing their money from the banks. And First Republic Bank had shares tumble earlier this week when depositors withdrew more than $100 billion.
Yeah. Wow. I heard it was PacWest.
PacWest.
Bank Corp.
Okay.
All right. Western Alliance and Metropolitan Bank all halted their stock exchange. I think Wednesday of this week.
Man, that's kind of scary. I mean, people are running on their deposits, and a bank only has a certain amount of money actually. So
actually, that's a lie. They don't even have that.
That's what I was about to say.
As of November,
are we saying about 30%? I believe.
Not even.
Not even.
As of November 2021, banks are not required to have any type of reserve, which means you can literally put your money in, and that same day say I want it, and they're like, go talk to the FDIC.
Well, however, there is the FDIC.
Yeah, but the FDIC only has so much money. So what happens when they say, okay, no?
Well, let's talk about that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, credit unions are insured by the NCUA, the National Credit Union Administration. FDIC and NCUA have similar workings, so that they're kind of interchangeable. But they only have $250,000 in protection.
So I would suggest that how about this? I won't suggest anything. I will tell you what I do, right? I personally have a joint account with my wife, and my wife has a personal joint account with me. So that way we're insured up to $500,000.
There you go. What's going on with these banks? What can we see with a failure as far as kind of warning signs?
Well, I think because of that November shift that we had in 2021, you literally gave the banks a complete get out of jail free card, because now they've never had to not have all of their money on hand, so they at least had some level of risk tolerance.
Right.
Now with that gone, basically they were lending off of derivatives. This sounds a lot like 2008.
True.
So, and they're not uncommon derivatives, except that they just don't have anything to allow their cash to keep flowing. So when you run out of money, you have to close your doors and say uncle.
Well, it's Mama Dollar, Papa Dollar, and it's a wonderful life, man. You just kind of have to go, well, that's enough.
What? So are Zuzu's petals tulips? I'm just saying. I mean, you remember the tulip crisis, right?
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. But we do have some people who are smarter than us that have said things, and you can find that on our blog at arbitragetrade.com/blog. And have a great weekend.
Yes.
Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC is a privately held research company. Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC is solely responsible for the preparation and distribution of the contents of this podcast. The opinions offered in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to function as investment advice. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. For more information about the informational research and services offered by Arbitrage Trade Analytics, LLC,